It was supposed to be a simple Tuesday. Keanu Reeves had just left a quiet bookstore in Los Feliz, a paper bag tucked under his arm filled with second-hand poetry and a vinyl record from a local jazz duo he liked. As he stepped into his 1973 Norton Commando motorcycle, the sky dimmed slightly with the threat of a rare LA drizzle. He turned the key. Nothing. He tried again. A click. A cough. Silence. A passing woman with a baby stroller glanced over. "You okay?" Keanu gave her a thumbs up, half smiling. "Yeah, she just needs a moment to think about it." 15 minutes later, she was still thinking. Keanu sighed, pulled out his phone, and stared at the rideshare apps. Search pricing. Again. Then he noticed it. A bright orange city bus hissing to a stop just down the street. Route 203, Hollywood Boulevard. He hadn't ridden public transit in years. Curious, and with nothing to lose, Keanu jogged up and hopped aboard, swiping his card at the reader. The driver, a gray-haired woman with aviator sunglasses and an "I brake for no one" bumper sticker on the dashboard, nodded. "Welcome to the jungle," she said without looking. Keanu chuckled, took a seat near the middle, and looked around. The bus was half full. A young woman in scrubs slept with her head against the window. A kid tapped at a beat-up tablet, earbuds in. Two older men in Dodgers caps quietly argued about baseball. At the far back, a man in a business suit tapped frantically at a laptop. And in the very front row, a girl no older than 6 clutched a plush flamingo and stared at Keanu like he'd just walked off a movie screen. He gave her a small wave. She didn't blink. Keanu settled in and exhaled. The hum of the bus, the chatter, the occasional brake squeal. It was oddly peaceful. A world he hadn't touched in a long time. A world where no one cared who he was, or so he thought. Halfway to the next stop, the girl whispered to her mother, a tired-looking woman balancing 3 grocery bags and a half-eaten muffin. "Mom," she said softly, "that's John Wick." Keanu looked up and smiled. "Not today. Just a guy with a broken bike." The woman smiled awkwardly. "Sorry, she watches those movies like cartoons." Keanu leaned forward slightly. "Do you know how to do a flamingo impression?" he asked the girl. Her eyes lit up. The bus rumbled on, and the journey was just beginning. The girl, Lily, showed Keanu her best flamingo impression. One leg up, arms out for balance, face deadly serious. Keanu gave a slow clap. "That's Oscar-worthy." Lily beamed. Her mother mouthed a thank you as Lily nestled back into her seat. The bus turned onto Sunset, picking up new passengers. An elderly man carrying a plant in a shoebox, a teenager with a skateboard and a bleeding elbow, and a woman in a business suit cradling a shattered phone. Each new passenger carried the subtle weight of their day. The rushed, the frustrated, the hopeful, the broken. Keanu watched it all like a silent observer in a play with no stage. Suddenly, a gruff voice spoke up from the back. "Hey, driver, your fanboy's staring at everybody." It was a man in his 40s, jeans dusty, a construction vest over a Metallica shirt. His tone wasn't cruel, just annoyed. Keanu looked at him calmly, just appreciating the ride. The man scoffed. "You don't look like you ride buses often." Keanu nodded. "You're right." The man folded his arms. "Then what are you doing here?" "My bike broke down," Keanu replied simply, "and I missed this." There was a pause. A few passengers looked up, curiosity now replacing suspicion. The nurse stirred and glanced around. The man with the laptop shut it halfway. Lily piped up. "He likes flamingos." Laughter broke the tension. The driver smirked. "You gonna start singing next?" Keanu shook his head. "Only if you play Take On Me through the intercom." Another round of laughter. And with that, something shifted. The bus, which had been a cold chain of strangers clinging to routine, started to thaw. People exchanged glances, smiles. A few shoulders relaxed. Then the skateboard kid tripped on the aisle step and landed hard. "Ow," he groaned, grabbing his arm. Keanu was up in a flash, crouching beside him. "You okay?" The kid nodded, tears forming in his eyes. "It just twisted funny." Keanu helped him up and guided him to an empty seat. The elderly man offered a packet of tissues. The nurse came over, checked the elbow, nodded in approval. Keanu looked around. "We're good." A few passengers clapped lightly. The driver called back. "You want my job?" Keanu grinned. "Not unless it comes with a side of flamingos." The bus rumbled on, rolling through the city not just as a vehicle, but now as a space where something rare was happening. People were connecting. The bus rolled into Echo Park, where morning commuters gave way to street performers, artists, and dog walkers juggling oat milk lattes. Keanu stood, offering his seat to an elderly woman boarding with a floral cane. "Thank you, young man," she said, squinting at him. "You look like that actor. What's his name?" He smiled. "Ted." She frowned. "Ted who?" "Exactly," he said, winking. The next 20 minutes passed with a quiet rhythm. Passengers swapped stories, laughed about traffic, even shared snacks. Someone passed around a bag of almonds. A man near the back played soft Spanish guitar on a battered nylon-stringed instrument. The grumpy construction worker from earlier, introduced now as Rick, chimed in between chords. "What's this, the Feel-Good Express?" "Sure beats honking alone in gridlock," Keanu said. The nurse introduced herself as Nina, night shift at St. Luke's, and shared a coffee packet with the woman who'd dropped her phone earlier. Turns out her name was Claire, and the phone was from her boss. "He wants me to file a report before noon. The screen's toast." Keanu offered his own phone. "Email yourself. You'll beat the deadline." Claire stared. "You'd let me borrow? Trust me, I'll still be here." She hesitated, then smiled and began typing. Moments later, the driver's voice crackled over the intercom. "We're about to hit a jam near Western. Sit tight. Might be a while." Groans echoed lightly. Rick rolled his eyes. This city and its eternal road work. But Keanu just looked out the window, tapping gently on the glass. "It's okay. Sometimes it's the stops that matter." Everyone looked at him. He shrugged. "When else do you get to sit with strangers, talk, and do nothing important?" Silence for a second. Then Lily whispered, "I think that is important." A pause. Then Rick nodded. "Kid's got a point." Keanu reached into his bag and pulled out a small book of haikus. "Let's test that theory." He flipped to a page and read aloud. "A city moves fast, but kindness waits quietly. On Route 203. Someone clapped. Then more. A tiny, spontaneous round of applause on a crowded city bus. Outside, the jam wasn't moving. Inside, the moment was. The traffic eventually thinned, and the bus creaked back into motion. Conversation hummed softly now, less about getting somewhere, and more about being exactly where they were. Claire returned Keanu's phone. Email sent. Report done. You saved my job. Keanu smiled. You saved yourself. I just loaned the pixels. She grinned. Well, if you ever need a digital marketing plan, I owe you one. Nina the nurse leaned in. What do you actually do anyway? Keanu paused. Sometimes I act, but mostly I ride motorcycles and think about dogs. The guitar player nodded like that made complete sense. Lily stood suddenly, holding her flamingo. I have a joke. Everyone turned toward her. What do you call a bus full of flamingos? Rick muttered. A headache? Lily beamed. A flock party. The bus erupted in laughter. Keanu high-fived her. I'm stealing that one. The driver called out. Next stop, Highland and Franklin. Keanu's ears perked up. That was close to where he was headed originally. As the bus neared the stop, he gathered his bag. Around him, people started doing the same, but something had changed. Smiles were exchanged. Names remembered. Eye contact made. Before stepping off, Keanu turned to the group. Thanks for letting me share the ride. Rick crossed his arms. You sure you're not just gonna use this for a movie? Keanu smiled. No cameras today. Just people. Claire waved. See you on the next one. Definitely, Keanu replied. I hear Out 406 has great plot twists. The doors hissed open. As Keanu stepped out, the driver called after him, Hey, you forgot something. He turned. She tossed him a bus token, old and scuffed. For next time, she said. Not everyone gets one of those. Keanu caught it, nodded, and pocketed it like a medal. The doors closed. The bus pulled away. He stood on the corner, watching it disappear into the traffic. Then he looked around. Just another person in the city again. He took a deep breath. The world was noisy, rushed, impatient. But for 42 minutes that morning, a city bus had become a vessel for something rare. Human connection. Keanu smiled, looked down at the token, and walked on. Not a hero. Not a star. Just a man who rode the bus and remembered what it meant to share the ride.